Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome back to Quranic Language Made Easy. In the previous two videos, we learnt about Ajwaf Wawi and Ya'i, and in today's lesson, we are going to discuss about the lesson 21 from Unit 2 of Quranic Language Made Easy. That is the third type of Ajwaf, Ajwaf with the middle letter Alif, the exceptions, inshallah. So we have the hollow verbs Ajwaf, and today we are going to learn about the verbs such as Khafa, Yakhafu, or Nala, Yanalu. In this video, we are going to discuss about verbs with middle letter Alif, that is Waw or a Ya, and Ajwaf Madi and Mudari chart with Quranic examples, Jazima and Nasiba Ajwaf verbs with Quranic examples, and also the Quranic examples mentioned in the book, and the active and the passive participles Fa'il and Maf'ul, about the Masdar, and about Madi and Mudari Majhul charts with examples. So let's begin. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi zidni ilma. A word is considered ajwaf when the second root letter or the ain kalima is a vowel or a weak letter, that is huruf illa, which has a waw or ya in it. Ajwaf wawi mostly comes with bab nasara yansuru or bab samia yasma'u. And Ajwaf Ya'i mostly comes with bab daraba yadribu and samia yasma'u. When the second root letter huruf illa is a waw, the word is further classified as al-ajwaf wawi. This we have learnt in lesson 19 of unit 2. You can check this video. And the second root letter is, or the huruf illa is a ya, then the word is further classified as al-ajwaf al-ya'i. And this we have discussed in detail in lesson 20 from unit 2. Again, you can check the video. And today's lesson, we are going to learn about the exceptions where the second root letter, the huruf illa, is either a waw or a ya. Let's take an example of khafa, yakhafu. The root letters are kha, waw, and fa. So from bab sami'a yasma'u, it becomes khawifa yakhwafu, right? But they make it smooth and make it khafa yakhafu. And another example is nama yanamu. Root letters are navima yanvamu because there's a waw in it. And the example of ajwaf ya'i are sha'a yasha'u. It's actually shay'a yashya'u. From bab samia yasma'u, the root letters are sheen, ya, and hamza. And for nala yanalu, the root letters are noon, ya, and lam. Let's take an example of kha, wa, fa. If we go by samia family, it would become khawifa. But the Arabs don't like this khawifa. So they will make it all smooth, and they would rather replace this waw with another vowel. As there are three vowels in Arabic, hamza, waw, and ya, they want to replace it with a vowel which makes it smoother to pronounce. Even though the root letters are kha, waw, and fa, khafa sounds much smoother. And we have seen khafa so many times, but what we actually don't know are the root letters. We might think that the root letters are kha, alif, and fa, right? But actually the root letters are kha, waw, and fa. It looks like it's kha, alif, and fa. But let me tell you one thing, alif is almost never a root letter. The root letters are either a waw or ya, and vowels are interchangeable. There's an important principle. Every alif you find in a three-letter verb is turned from either a waw or a ya. This means that every time you find an alif in a three-letter verb, it has to be turned from either a waw or a ya. And the examples for this principle are qala was originally what? Qawala. The alif was turned from a waw. Ba'a was originally baya'a. The alif was turned from a ya. And khafa was originally khawifa. The alif was turned from a waw. Now don't say the alif was replaced, but rather say that the alif is turned or transformed. And what made qawala, baya'a, and khawifa turned into qala, ba'a, and khafa? The principle which says if the waw or ya has a haraka and the letter before it has a fatha, pay attention, we then turn the waw or ya into an alif. The demonstration is, there are three steps when we break it down. The first step is the waw or ya has a haraka. Okay. The second step is the letter before it has a fatha. The conclusion is turn it into an alif. So qawala is from nasara yansuru family. The waw has a haraka and the letter before it is what? It's qaf. This has a fatha. So we apply the principle here by turning the waw into an alif and qawala becomes qala. It's baya'a from daraba yadribu family. Here the ya has a haraka and the letter before it is what? Ba, which is having a fatha. So here we can apply the principle by turning the ya into an alif and baya'a becomes ba'a. Same with khafifa. This is from Sami'a Yasma'u family. Here the waw has a haraka and what's the letter before it? It's kha. This has a fatha. And here we also apply this principle by turning the waw into an alif. So khafifa becomes khafa. So the rule is if a vowel, waw or a ya is preceded by a fatha in the same lexical word, it will change into an alif. And know that every alif in a three-letter verb is turned from either a waw or a ya. Always keep that in mind. There is no such thing as original alif in a three-letter verb. So when you do see an alif in a three-letter verb, that alif is either turned from a waw or a ya. And ajwaf is the tri-letter verb with the weak middle letter, ayn letter, which can be either waw always, as in qala and qama, this is ajwaf wawi, or it could be always a ya, as in ba'a and zada, this is ajwaf yai. So ajwaf wawi can belong to bab nasara yansuru, like qala yaqulu, qama yaqumu, or it can belong to bab sami'a yasma'u, that is khafa yakhafu or kada yakadu. So khafa, here we have kha is the sahi letter, alif is the mu'tal letter, and fa is the sahi letter. This verb contains an huruf illa in the middle, which makes it ajwaf. It is a word which is empty in the middle from a sahi letter. And how come the examples qala, ba'a, khafa have a hollow center? Because its middle letter is not a sahi letter. Its middle letter is empty or vacant from a sahi letter. Now let's look into the book, the verbs with the middle letter alif, the exceptions. Recall that in lesson 19 and 20, the alif in the past tense was changed to a waw or a ya in the mudari form. The following verbs are exceptions to the above rule because the alif stays an alif even in the mudari form. So the madi chart is khafa, khafa, khafu, khafat, khafata, khifna. So this is third person masculine and feminine. He feared, they both feared, they all feared. And second person is khifta, khiftuma, khiftum, khifti, khiftuma, khiftunna. And the first person is khiftu, khifna. I feared and we feared. So in the Madi chart, some tips to remember for the third person feminine plural hunna. Here it's khifna. Or if it is nala, yanalu, nilna. Why? Why is it khifna? Why not khufna or khafna? It could have been khufna or khifna or khafna. How do I know it's khifna? So the third person feminine plural hunna comes from the mudari, that is the present tense. What's the mudari of khafa? It's yakhafu, and which has an alif. And very important tips to remember here is if the present tense mudari has an alif or a ya, then we should go with a kasra. So they choose khifna. Like bab sami'a, hunna becomes sami'na and it becomes khawifna. The waw is dropped and it becomes khifna. If the present tense mudari has a waw, then go with a dhamma. In case of qala yaqulu, it was qulna. So if it's a waw, go with a dhamma. And if it's anything else, go with a kasra. And I've taken an example of nala, to reach. Nala, nala, nalu, nalat, nalata, nilna. This is third person. He reached, they both reached, they all reached. Second person is nilta, niltuma, niltum, nilti, niltuma, niltunna. You reached, you both reached, you all reached. First person is niltu, nilna, nilna. I reached, we both reached, and we all reached. I've also taken an example of sha'a. Sha'a is to wish. Sha'a, sha'a, sha'u. And the root letters are sheen, ya, and hamza. Sha'at, sha'ata, shi'na. Shi'ta, shi'tuma, shi'tum, shi'ti, shi'tuma, shi'tunna, shi'tu, shi'na, shi'na. So sha'a was actually shayi'a. And the third person feminine plural hunna, like sami'na, should have become shayi'na. but they choose shi'na. The ya is dropped and it becomes shi'na. And the examples of Madi from Quran are A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Illa ma sha Allah, except what Allah wills. So sha'a here is third person masculine singular, huwa sha'a. Wa in imra'atun khafat min ba'liha nushuzan. And if a woman fears from her husband ill conduct, so khafat is third person feminine singular, hiya khafat. Fama zalat tilka da'wahum, then not ceased this their cry. Zalat is again third person feminine singular, hiya zalat. Zala yazalu. Law shi'ta lattakhadhta alayhi ajra. If you wished, surely you could have taken for it a payment. This is from sha'a yasha'u. Shi'ta is second person masculine singular, anta shi'ta. Laqad kitta tarkanu ilayhim shay'an qalila. Certainly you almost would have inclined to them in something little. So here kada yakadu, it's kitta, third person masculine singular, anta kitta. وَكُلَا مِنْهَا رَغَدًا حَيْثُ شِئْتُمَا وَلَا تَقْرَبَا هَذِهِ الشَّجَرَةِ. And you both eat from it freely from wherever you both wish, but do not you both approach this, the tree. So here shi'tuma is second person dual antuma. Antuma shi'tuma. وَإِنِّي خِفْتُ الْمَوَالِيَ مِنْ. And indeed I fear the successors after me. So khiftu is first person singular, ana khiftu. وَلَئِنْ شِئْنَا لَنَذْهَبَنَّ بِالَّذِي أَوْحَيْنَا إِلَيْكَ. And if we willed, we would have surely taken away that which we have revealed to you. So here shi'na is first person plural, we will, nahnu. And the mudare, present or future tense. In the Quranic Language Made Easy book, there's a slight mistake in third person feminine plural hunna and second person feminine plural antunna. It is mentioned as yakhifna and takhifna, but it should have been yakhafna and takhafna. So whoever is having this book, please correct it. It's not a kasra here, instead it's a fatha. So in the mudare, if you go by bab samia yasma'u, it is khafifa yakhwafu. But among yakhwafu and yakhafu, which one sounds smoother? Of course it's yakhafu. Yakhafu sounds smoother, so they would rather make it all smooth. Instead of khafifa yakhwafu, from bab sami'a yasma'u, they choose khafa yakhafu from sami'a yasma'u. So when you say yakhafu, what's the middle letter? It's an alif. And who should it be cousins with? Alif is cousins with a fatha. So when you have to remove the alif, what should you put there? You put a fatha. So in the present tense mudare, use the cousin. So the third person feminine plural hunna, like yasma'na or yakhwafna, it becomes yakhafna. The waw is dropped. Similar sounds generally prefer similar letters. The kasra likes a ya, the dhamma likes the waw, and the fatha likes alif. Three vowels, three cousins. Alif makes an a sound, fatha also makes an a sound. Waw makes an u sound, dhamma makes an u sound. Ya makes an e sound, kasra makes an e sound. So the rules are, so the hunna in the madi for qala yaqulu ajwaf wawi is qulna. For the mudare it's yaqulna. And for ajwaf ya'i, ba'a yabi'u, it's hunna bi'na. And for mudare it's yabi'na, there's a kasra. And for the nala yanalu, it's nilna, hunna nilna. And for mudare it's yanalna with fatha, because it's either ajwaf wawi or ajwaf yai. So the mudare chart for yakhafu is yakhafu, yakhafani, yakhafuna, takhafu, takhafani, yakhafna. So here there's a fatha on the kha. He fears or he will fear, they both fear or they both will fear, they all fear or they all will fear. For the second person, takhafu, takhafani, takhafuna, takhafina, takhafani, takhafna. You fear, you both fear or you all fear. First person, akhafu, nakhafu, nakhafu. I fear or we all fear. And the example of nala, yanalu, to reach, yanalu, yanalani, yanaluna, tanalu, tanalani, yanalna. He reaches or he will reach, they both reach or they both will reach, they all reach or they all will reach. And the second person is tanalu, tanalani, tanaluna. And for the feminine it is tanalina, tanalani and tanalna, right, with a fatha. Analu, nanalu, nanalu. And sha'a, yasha'u. The root letters are shayi'a, yashiya'u. Yasha'u, yasha'ani, yasha'una. Tasha'u, tasha'ani, yasha'na. He wishes or he will wish, they both wish or they both will wish, they all wish or they all will wish. For the second person, it's tasha'u, tasha'ani, tasha'una. Tasha'ina, tasha'ani, tasha'na. You wish, you both wish, you all wish. Asha'u, nasha'u, nasha'u. And so yasha'u was actually yashya'u. And the third person feminine plural hunna, like yasma'na, it should have been yashya'na. They choose the smoother form, that is yasha'na. The ya is dropped. And the Quranic examples for mudari are A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Wala yakhafu uqbaha. And not he fears its consequences. Yakhafu is third person masculine singular. Huwa yakhafu. Lahum ma yasha'una 'inda rabbihim. For them is what they wish with their Lord. Yasha'una is third person masculine plural. Hum yasha'un. Law nasha'u asabnahum bi dhunubihim. If we willed, we could have afflict them for their sins. Nasha'u is first person plural. Nahnu. Qala rabbana innana nakhafu an yafruta alayna. So here nakhafu is first person dual. It's nakhafu. And how do you know that it's not plural and it's dual? Because Qala Rabbana, they both said, our Lord, indeed we both fear. So nakhafu is dual. And an yafruta alayna, that he will hasten against us. Now the command. How do you make command? What's the rule for making a command? The first step is to take the second person mudare, and I've taken it tanalu here. And the second step is to drop the alamati mudare ta, and it becomes nalu. And the third step is to make the mudare madzum. If we make it madzum, it becomes something like this, nal. You cannot pronounce this. And also, there's a rule that no two sukoons can come together in Arabic. So this is not possible. No two sukoons can come together in Arabic, so the alif is dropped. When you get rid of the alif, what's the alif's cousin? It's fatha, right? So that's why there's a fatha on the noon and it becomes null. As always, the weak letter is dropped in the event of two sukoons. Here the alif is dropped. The Arabs never have a long a sound followed by a sukoon. So they have to get rid of the alif. That's why it's null and not nal. And how do you make amr for the dual? You take the second person dual and it's tana lani. And the first step is to drop the alamati mudare ta and it becomes na lani. And you make it madzum. How do you make it madzum when you have a noon? The dropping of the noon is the sign of the sukoon and it becomes nala. So here alif stays and the amar chart is null, nala, nalu, nali, nala, nalna. It's nalna. Okay. In the textbook there is a mistake again in the amar chart. It's not khifna, instead it's khafna. So there is no kasra here, it's a fatha. So we have nalna. Reach, you both reach, you all reach. And for takhafu, the second person mudare is takhafu. The second step is to drop the alamati mudare ta and you make it khafu. And the third step is to make it madzum. It becomes khaf, which doesn't make any sense because no two sukoons can come together in Arabic. So we get rid of the alif because we can't have two sukoons together. The alif has a cousin which is a fatha, so it becomes khaf. And the amar chart is khaf, khafa, khafu, khafi, khafa, khafna. It's not khifna, it's khafna. Fear, you both fear, you all fear. Hey, wait. Did you notice something here? Can you look carefully? Khaf, khafa, khafu. Where did you see these words before? Did you see them before in this video? I think you're getting it right. Khafa is amar, antuma, right? And khafu is antum for the amr. This we have also seen in the madi chart, like huwa khafa, huma khafa, hum khafu, right? So khafa is second person masculine dual amar antuma is similar to the madi third person masculine dual huma, and khafu second person masculine plural antum amar is similar to the madi third person masculine plural hum. Now the question arises, how do you make differentiate between the Amar khafa and khafu and the Madi khafa and khafu? Well, let's see the examples. فَلَا تَخَافُوهُمْ وَخَافُونِ. So here we have khafu. Khafu could be an Amar plural or Madi plural khafu. But look at the translation. It says, so do not fear them but fear me. What do you think? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling, do not fear them but fear me. So here he's commanding us to fear him. So it is an Amar and not a Madi. And the Madi examples are لو تركوا من خلفهم ذرية ضعافا خافوا عليهم. If they left from behind weak offspring, they would have feared. So here khafu, it cannot be an Amar. They would have feared. So this is fi'al Madi, hum. القوم استضعفوني وكادوا يقتلونني. The people considered me weak and were about to kill me. So kadu is Madi because it's about to. It's not a command. It's not a command. And you can find the difference by looking at the translation and also by the context. And the prohibition, forbidding, or nahi, la'un nahiya. So here how do you make a nahi? We take the second person mudare, and that is tanalu, and you by using the la nahiya, that makes the mudare majzoom. So if you make it majzoom, it becomes tanal. It doesn't make any sense. No two sukuns can come together in Arabic. So that's why it becomes la tanal. Like samiya yasma'u, like yasma, la yasma, it becomes la tanal. And the chart is la tanal, la tanala, la tanalu, la tanali, la tanala, La tanalna. Don't reach, you both don't reach, you all don't reach. And the Quranic examples are قَالَ خُذْهَا وَلَا تَخَفْ سَنُعِيدُهَا سِيرَتَهَا الْأُولَى. He said, seize it and do not fear. Takhaf is actually second person masculine singular. And it becomes majzoom وَلَا تَخَفْ because of la'un nahiya. We will return it to its former state. قَالَ لَا تَخَافَا إِنَّنِي مَعَكُمَا أَسْمَعُ وَأَرَى. He said, do not fear. Now here it was takhafani. Because of la'un nahiya, the noon drops and it becomes la takhafa. Indeed, I am with you both, I hear and I see. Next are the jazima or the jasif particles. And the jasif particles are li, la, lam, lamma, in, wal and fal, and also the conditional words that makes the mudare majzoom. And the examples are akhraja yadahu lam yakad yaraha. So here he puts out his hand, hardly he can see it. So because of lam, yakadu becomes yakad because of the lam, it becomes majzoom. In yasha yudhibkum. If he wills, he can take you away. So yasha'u, third person masculine singular, it becomes majzoom because of the conditional word in. It becomes in yasha. May yasha illahu yudlilhu. So here this is also a majzoom yasha, but since there no sukuns can come together, there's a temporary kasra placed here to join it with the word Allahu. Whoever Allah wills, he lets him go astray. Allahumma la taj'alna minhum. May Allah do not make us among them. وَمَن يَشَأْ يَجْعَلْهُ عَلَى صِرَاطٍ مُسْتَقِيمٍ. He wills, he places him on the straight way. Allahumma ja'alna minhum. So here because of conditional word man, yasha, it becomes majzoom. Lam yanalu khayran wa kafallahu al-mu'mineen al-qital. Not they obtained any good, and sufficient is Allah for the believers in the battle. So because of lam yanaluna becomes yanalu, the noon drops. And the nasiba, the accusative particles, what are they? They are li, kai, likai, likaila, an, li'an, Allah, hatta and lan. And the Quranic examples are illa an yasha Allah, except if Allah wills. So because of huruf nasiba an, yasha'u becomes yasha'a, mansoob, if Allah wills. La tanalul birra hatta tunfiqu mimma tuhibbun. Never will you attain the righteousness until you spend from what you love. So tanaluna becomes tanalu because of huruf nasiba lan. An yakhafa alla yuqima hudud Allah. They both fear that they both cannot keep the limits of Allah. So yakhafani becomes yakhafa because of huruf nasiba an. Allah takhafu wa la tahzanu wa abshiru bil jannati allati kuntum tu'adun. Do not fear So here takhafuna becomes takhafu because of Allah. Wala tahzanu, and do not grieve. Wa abshiru bil jannati allati, but receive the glad tidings of paradise. Alladhi kuntum tu'adun, which you were promised. Allahumma ja'alna minhum, may Allah make us among them. Ameen. And masdar, the important note is masdar is again not in the same pattern always. In the family 1, there is no set masdar pattern. So what we do here is we take one pattern and we stick it for ease. Otherwise there are many patterns on which masdars in different F1 families come. And we are going to learn in details about different masdar patterns in the end of the unit, maybe in lesson 28 inshallah. And also there is a set pattern of masdar for the big families. Inshallah again we'll learn in the future lessons. And the Quranic example for masdar are La ta'khuduhu sinatun wala nawm. So which one is the masdar here? Not overtakes him slumber and not sleep. What's the root word here? Nama yanamu nauman. So here this is the masdar. La yushrikna billahi shay'an. Not they will associate with Allah anything. Sha'a yasha'u shay'an. Ajwaf ya'i. Wala yanaluna min aduwin nailan. And not they inflict on an enemy an infliction. So this is nala yanalu nailan. Masdar. Allazi at'amahum min ju'in wa amanahum min khawf. So here we have the one who feeds them from against hunger and gives them security from fear. So khafa yakhafu khawfun. Now fa'awjasa fi nafsihi khifatan. So sensed in himself a fear. Musa. So here in the previous example it was khafa yakhafu khawfun was the masdar, and here khafa yakhafu khifatan is the masdar. As I told you before that masdar, there is no set pattern of masdar. It could be khawfa sometimes or it could be khifatan. It's totally a different pattern. And the active participles, the Muslim chart are fa'ilun, fa'ilani, fa'iluna, fa'ilan, fa'ilaini, fa'ilina, fa'ilin, fa'ilaini, fa'ilina. And the active participles are in the fa'ilun patterns. So instead of khabifun, we say khaifun. So what did they replace the letter with? They replaced the waw with a hamza. So the rule is in the active participle, if the middle radical is a waw or a ya, it will become a hamza. The weak letter here is changed to a hamza. So it becomes khaifun for smoother flow, and it's khaifun instead of khavifun. And the examples are فَأَصْبَحَ فِي الْمَدِينَةِ خَائِفًا يَتَرَقَّبُ. In the morning he was in the city fearful and was vigilant. So khaifan is masculine. And فَطَافَ عَلَيْهَا طَائِفٌ مِّن رَبِّكَ وَهُمْ نَائِمُونَ. So there came upon it a visitation from your Lord while they were asleep. So this is naimuna, masculine plural. Illa khaifina, except like those in fear, masculine plural. And the passive participles are in the pattern of makhufun. Instead of makhwufun, like maf'ulun, it's makhufun. Now let's learn about the majhul, the passive ajwaf verbs. Madi majhul, the passive is supposed to be fu'ila or sumiya pattern. Passive will be sumiya pattern. So you might think it could be khuwifa, right? But there's no ui sound in Arabic. So they'll make it smooth and make it khifa. And I've taken the example of Nila, which means he was reached. It's a majhul. Nila, Nila, Nilu, Nilat, Nilata, Nilna. He was reached, they both were reached, they all were reached. Second person is Nilta, Niltuma, Niltum, Nilti, Niltuma, Niltunna. Niltu, Nilna, Nilna. I was reached, we both were reached. And the Mudari Majhul, this is in the pattern of yusma'u. It should have been yukhwafu. They make it smooth and they make it yukhafu. So yuf'alu or yusma'u, it becomes yukhafu. Instead of khuwifa yukhwafu, it becomes khifa yukhafu. And the example I've taken here, Nila yunalu, yunalu, yunalani, yunaluna, tunalu, tunalani, yunalna. He is reached or he will be reached. They both are reached or they both will be reached. They all are reached or they all will be reached. Tunalu, tunalani, tunaluna. Tunalina, tunalani, tunalna. Unalu, nunalu, nunalu. Vocabulary for middle letter alif verbs are the exceptions from the book. We have kada yakadu, which means to be about, and the root letters are kaf, waw and dal, ajwaf wawi. Nala yanalu, which means to reach. The root letters are noon, ya and lam, ajwaf yai. Nama yanamu, to sleep. The root letters are noon, waw, mim, ajwaf wawi. Zala yazalu, to go away. The root letters are za, ya and lam, ajwaf yai. Sha'a yasha'u, to wish. Root letters are sheen, ya and hamza, ajwaf yai again. And the following examples from Quran we have waliman khafa maqama rabbihi. So here for the one who fears when they will stand before their Lord. So which is the ajwaf here? This is khafa. Huwa khafa. فَإِذَا خِفْتِ عَلَيْهِ فَأَلْقِيهِ فِي الْيَمِّ. When you fear about him, cast him into the river. So here khifti is anti khifti, and here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling the Musa alayhi salam's mother, right, cast him into the river. فَكُلُوا مِنْهَا حَيْثُ شِئْتُمْ, and eat from it from wherever you wish. So here shi'tum is antum. Inni akhafu alaykum adhaba yawmin alim. So akhafu is first person ana. I fear for you the penalty of grievous day. Wala yazalu alladhina kafaru fi miryatin min. So here zala yazalu, and this is those who reject will always be in doubt about it. Zala is to cease. So la zala, la yazala is will not cease. Wama tasha'una illa an yasha Allah. You will not will except what Allah wills. So tasha'una, and this is plural, and an yasha'a, this is huruf nasiba, that's why it's yasha'a. Wala takhafi wala tahzani, do not fear, not grieve. So takhafina becomes takhafi because of la'un nahiya. Wala takhafuhum wa khafuni, so do not fear them but fear me. That is done. Lan yanala Allahu luhumuha wala dima'uha. So here because of lan yanalu becomes yanala. It is not their meat or blood that reaches Allah. Takadu tamayyazu min al-ghayth, almost bursting with fury. So this is kada yakadu. So it is takadu here. Now the sarf chart. Sarf is the study of word patterns and how meanings can be derived based on these patterns. It's a mechanism through which you can learn to recognize the pattern of a majority of the words in the Arabic language. With sarf, you can also construct a multitude of words when given a single word. So for the sarf chart, I've taken madi, mudare, masdar, and then fa'il. Madi majhul, mudare majhul, masdar and maf'ul, and amar and nahi. First I'm taking an example of khafa. This belongs to ajwaf wawi. The root letters are kha, waw and fa. Khafa, yakhafu, khawfan, khaifun. Khifa, yukhafu, khawfan, makhufun. Khaf, la takhaf. And the sarf chart for ajwaf yai, I've taken nala. The root letters are noon, ya and lam. Nala, yanalu, nailan. Nailun, nila, yunalu, nailan. Manilun, nal, la tanal. Ajwaf wawi examples are khafa, yakhafu, nama, yanamu, kada, yakadu. They have waw as a middle letter. And ajwaf yai examples are sha'a, yasha'u, nala, yanalu, zala, yazalu. They have ya in them as a root letter. Now the difference between the ajwaf yai and the ajwaf with alif. You see in the Quran kada yakadu and kada yakidu, right? And how do you know that this kada has a root letter, middle letter is a waw or a ya, right? If you look at kada and kada, they both look exactly the same. The difference is the root letters. So it could be kada yakadu or kada yakidu. So now I'm gonna tell you about an amazing website, that is corpus.quran.com. Go there, and then on the top right side you can see the search option, and then whatever surah you want, type the surah. For example, I want surah 86, surah Tariq, and I want this ayah number 14. So put a colon and then put ayah number 14 and hit the go button or search button, and then you'll get this ayah, innahum yakiduna kaida. Right? So yakiduna, what's the root letter for this? So you have to click on this. When you click on that, it takes you to this side, and it shows you that yakiduna, right? The root letters are kaf, ya and dal. right? This is very amazing website for a beginner. Like if you don't know, if you're not familiar with what are the root letters, and if you're confused, just go to corpus.quran.com. and if you want this word, if you want to search where all in what other surahs this word has occurred, so you have to go down, all the way down, and then there is option called Quranic dictionary. Just click on that. So when you click on that, subhanallah, it shows the surah number and the ayah number where all this word is present. So it's amazing. So takadu tamayyazu minal ghayd. So this kada, so this is takadu, right? What are the root letters? You don't know. Just click on that. Go to corpus.quran.com. When you click on that word, it shows you that the root letters are kaf, waw, and dal. So this corpus.quran.com is an amazing website for a beginner, and if you want to know the root letters, just go to corpus.quran.com and write the surah and the ayah number, and there you go. Jazakallahu khairan for watching. If you have any doubts or suggestions or any questions, you can directly contact me on qlme2017@gmail.com, and you can share this with your family and friends. Jazakallahu khairan for watching. Whatever is good in this video is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, and the mistakes are only from me.